What's up, YouTube fans? Today, we're going to look at the KFC Kingzilla, their version of a Masterpiece Snapdragon. So I got this recently from a fellow Facebook collector, and I got a good price on it, so I said I'd pick it up. I don't have the packaging, so I'm not sure exactly how it came originally. I believe it came in robot mode, but we're going to start in jet mode. It does come with this collector's card here. It says Kingzilla EV Metal. Here's the back. Got the stat card. Pretty high numbers here. But that's cool. You also get two guns. So these are painted silver here. The rest is just this purple plastic. And they're both the same. And these can mount on this vehicle mode. So there's a slot right there, and it basically fits in perfectly right into there. And same for this one. You can get it pegged in on this side. While we're at it, why don't we open up the landing gear? So here's the landing gear. It does kind of click into place. And then there's one right here. And there you go. There's the jet on the landing gear. So it is a little bit back heavy. It tends to lean back like that. But you can roll it on these wheels. Those are nice. You also have a cockpit here. Now it does have a light up feature, and it's auto morphing. So it basically, as you open up the cockpit, it does turn on. So here it is with the lights off. So you can see as I open this, it's going to push on that button, and it turns on the light on the interior panel. It's a really big battery. It's like a car remote battery. But there you go. Lights up. It does look nice. And that's kind of inviting for the Headmaster, which we'll take a look at next. So here is the Headmaster. By the way, don't forget to turn this off. There's a switch right here. Unfortunately, it does auto turn that on, so you just got to remember to turn it off. I would recommend you just take the battery out. But here's the Headmaster. Only a little bit of paint, red paint on the eyes, otherwise just colored plastic. He does have a shoulders on ball joints. They go all the way around, out to the side. Single jointed elbow gets you less than 90 degrees. You have the head is on a rotation joint, but you can't really get too much out of that because it's kind of buried inside of this. Going down, the legs are on a ball joint, so the thighs go out to the side and up to there. The knees bend 90 degrees, actually 180 degrees in both directions. And that's really it for his articulation. You can get little heel spurs here if you fold those down there, but not necessary. You can still pose him. So if you want to sit him inside here, you go ahead and fold those heel spurs up, get his legs folded, get him ready to be, driving. And you can get the legs stuck in there. And on the bottom here, you're going to see, it open up first, but you're going to see his neck for his Headmaster mode is going to poke through here, and that's kind of what's going to hold it together. So you can see that purple piece, and that's how you know you have it in the right position, if you've got that purple piece sticking out. So now we can close this. I do see this catches here, so you want to turn that back on and then close it, and make sure you turn it back off. And again, I recommend you don't leave the batteries in there because you're definitely going to end up killing those batteries. And for a quick size comparison with another Decepticon, here is Snapdragon next to the Fans Toys Thomas. Still a little bit longer, a little bit taller, and obviously wider than Thomas. So I like it. I think it looks good. It's a pretty big jet. Alright, now let's get this guy transformed into his robot mode. Go ahead and open up this, and actually we can take out the Headmaster and just set them aside. While we're in here, why don't I show you, here's where the battery goes. I've already taken it out, but the battery looks something like this. CR2032H, don't quote me on that, but this one seems to fit in there. And then you can put this back. I just think it's better if you take the battery out so you don't risk leaving it on. Just because of the way this is configured, it's very easy to end up leaving that battery turned on. Alright, now that we have that back in, close that up. Come to the bottom here. We can fold in all of these landing gears. Next we're going to come to the back here, unpeg these guns from the wings. You can unpeg the arms, and they kind of sometimes come undone by themselves, but unpeg them from here, and they're going to unpeg from here as well. So there's one peg here, and then two on the back there. Okay. That's going to free up these. You can just fold them out of the way for now. Same on this side, unpeg this, and then fold those down. Right. Next we're going to take this part apart. So you can unpeg this piece here, and there's two tabs that hold that in, and just fold that over. And that's going to allow you access to these legs. So you can unpeg the legs from each other. And open up this panel here. And you should be able to unpeg the legs. If you can't, then just get a spudger and separate these legs. There we go. Now that we have that, we can open up the leg. So go ahead and fold this down, and just be careful with all the plastic. And there is a painted part right here, so you do want to be careful with that. And make sure you open up this panel as well. Fold that all the way down. Come to the bottom here. Fold this foot inwards. I'm going to take this heel spur, fold that back. You can see that's going to make the foot. Come to the back of his leg. I'm going to take this panel, fold that in so it ends up like that. And then close this up. And this should be configured like this, so it's flat. And that should peg into the back of his leg. And there you have one leg done. Alright, so go ahead and repeat that same process on the other side. Alright, now we got the legs squared away. Let's work on the upper body. So we're going to take these pieces here, fold this back down, unpeg those from here. Come to the front here, rotate these arms so that you have the black parts facing upwards. And then fold the gray parts downwards, and you do have to grab this little tab right here and pull that out, and then that's going to fit into the top of that black piece and hold that together. Same on this side, get that little tab piece out, and then fold this over and then tab that in, and that's going to kind of solidify the arms. On these hands we're going to take this, rotate these around, lift up on this panel, and that's going to allow you to fold out this arm, or this hand, I'm sorry. Make sure you get that pegged back in. And you can take this hand piece here, and that is just going to sit on the inside of his arm. So make sure you get this folded downwards and pegged into the side of the arm like that. Then get this panel here, that's going to fold downwards. So you should end up with something like this. So go ahead and do that on the other side as well. Alright, now that we have the arm squared away, we can take the waist here, make sure this panel's up, and rotate that around to the front. So it should look something like that. We're going to take this part here, and this whole thing is going to accordion back onto his back, basically. Oh, I think you have to put this panel down, and then you can peg this into his back, like that. Come to the back here, open up these panels, allow you to take this, fold that in, come to the front here, and the finishing touch is going to be his head. So take his headmaster, set his arms straight to his sides, take the legs, fold them up just like every other headmaster. Make sure you peg the legs together, and then get this tabbed in. that. And then you can see there's his head sculpt. We'll take a look there right now. Some silver paint and some red paint for the eyes. And then get that pegged in. It only goes one way. It's keyed, so you know that it goes like that. When you push the head in, you'll see the gimmick there. It's going to show you his stats. Speed, strength, and intelligence. It fills up all the way, or I guess almost all the way. You can close up that panel. And there you have Kingzilla transformed into his robot mode. Now, you'll already notice that the legs are a little funny, so I guess I'll go over that right away. Let's go over articulation. So the head does rotate all the way around. Sometimes this does come out, but overall it's fine. So it rotates all the way around on that joint. It doesn't really have much up and down. Sometimes his head pops out, and that's a little bit irritating. The arms are on a rotation here. Nice tight ratchet, goes all the way around. You also get a tight ratchet to the outside, so it can lift up to there. Just make sure you have these pegged all the way in. Your rotation at the bicep. You have a double jointed elbow, gets you the full bend past 90 degrees. You have also a rotation at the wrist. So you just have to make sure you have this oriented correctly when you're transforming. Rotation at the wrist. KFC style hands, although these are very chunky big hands, so they seem to work pretty well. Generally speaking, I'm not a big fan of KFC hands, but these are okay. I just wish they were pinned, because if you go the wrong direction or push it too far, they just pop off. I prefer pinned hands personally. Alright, continuing down, you have a rotation at the waist all the way around on a ratchet. You can lift up the hip skirts here on the side and the back. You can get up to there. It looks like we knocked out this backpack here. There we go. Up to there, back to there, hindered by the backpack. But you can move the backpack out of the way if you want to and then get a little bit further. Continuing on, you have a rotation at the thigh. It's ratcheted rotation. I've rarely ever seen something like that, but it ratchets all the way around. So some really nice ratchets on this guy overall. You have a double jointed knee. It's a little bit hindered because of the mold here, but you can get it to 90 degrees. Unfortunately, you can't get it past that, but it is double jointed due to transformation. Unfortunately, the clicks to the outside, the first click is pretty wide. So you end up with really wide A stands, and that's kind of unfortunate. I wish it wasn't so wide, because that's your choices, there or there. And for ankle tilt, it's very tight, but you do get ankle tilt that way. Nothing that way. So that's good enough, you can get, but it's just, unfortunately, it looks a little awkward, so you end up having to, you can't give them a straight A stance without bending it a little bit, otherwise it looks funny. But you can get into some good poses once you get those knees bent. Guns mounted in this mode, go ahead and pull down the handles, and these peg in just like the old school traditional MP. Get that pegged in. And I do find his elbow to be a little bit loose, but there luckily are screws there, so you can probably tighten that up if it does get a little bit loose on you. Same on this side, get that pegged in, tab that in, and here's why I hate KFC hands, because that happens occasionally. But you can always put it back in, it's just an annoyance. And for a quick size comparison, there's Kingzilla next to Fans Toys Sovereign, their version of Galvatron. Fits in really nicely, about the same size, maybe a tad bit taller. But it looks good. I don't remember the scale, I'm going to have to look at a scale chart, but as far as these two are concerned, I think pretty good scale. Alright, now let's get this guy transformed into his dragon mode. And I did want to mention before I move on, there isn't really a storage spot for this in the robot mode. You pretty much have to have it in his hands, or you can put it back on the sides of his arms, but that doesn't really look good. But either way, those are his options there. Go ahead and take his head off, set that aside. We're going to use that again later. So let's take care of the arms first. So go ahead and open up these panels again. You can fold this downwards. And then open up this one. Rotate the hand so the fingers are facing inwards, and then rotate the hand in, and then close up these two panels again. Fold this to the outside, fold this downwards, fold the toe piece down, rotate it around, and that's going to end up making the foot. And I haven't found a good way to set this up, but basically that's going to be the heel, and this is going to be the toe. And you would think it would go down a little bit further, but it doesn't really. That's just how it goes. Right? And then that's the front. So go ahead and do the same thing on this side. Alright, next we can come to the back here, and you're going to fold this back out from the inside. And it should end up kind of curved like that. You can fold this back in. Close that up. You just get it tabbed back in together. These pieces should go together. Right, and then open up this bend here. So you should end up with two bends, one here and one here. And you can fold this tail all the way back down onto the back. So you should have a bend here and a bend here. So it ends up flat like that. All right, now I'm going to work on the rest of these legs. So come to the back here. Open up these panels here. We're going to flip this out. Fold up this foot. It's going to fold down into this cavity here. And then fold this upwards. You can fold this panel up. Fold this upwards until you get all the way to the other side. And make sure you have this purple panel sticking out. And some might say it's easier to go from the jet mode to the dyno mode, and that's probably true. But I chose to do it this direction, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, so go ahead and fold this up, fold that in onto the back, and then get this in here. Now these two are going to fit right into there, so make sure you have that lined up properly. And make sure you have these feet panels folded all the way forward. So these are going to get basically straight up and sticking out a little bit like that on both sides. And now you can get this pushed all the way back, and make sure you have these purple pieces out. These are going to peg together, so straighten them up, and now we can peg all of this together. So get the front pushed together, get the bottom pushed together, tab that all together, and should look something like this. Right. Go ahead and take these arms, unpeg them from the sides. They sit pretty loosely, so it's not going to really be tight on there or anything. Get those folded out. You can rotate the waist around. Now take these arm pieces, and we're going to unpeg where they're attached here. So unpeg that little attachment piece. Same on this side. And then we can take this panel here, and that should close back down onto the front. And it's a tight fit, so just make sure you get it in there properly. There we go. Orient the legs. Make sure you have the joint facing forward so you can actually bend it. And then the finishing touch is going to be the head. So here is the dyno head. It looks exactly the same as it did in the Headmaster mode. But that's going to peg in right there. So just push that on. It's a pretty firm fitment, but once you get on there, it does fit. And there you have Snapdragon in his Snapdragon mode. I did forget to mention you do want to rotate these knees so that you have the actual articulation backwards, so he can walk like this. It does end up sitting on this heel, so the foot doesn't really do much. It just sort of kind of sits there. I guess you can get him in a walking pose. Let's see. Sort of, not really. And I have a little bit of issue. This one tends to come off. These are die cast, by the way. But pretty good looking in this mode. It's just, no matter what, this character always looks silly in his dino, his dragon mode. It just never looks right. There's the back. You can take these guns. If you fold up the handles, you can get those pegged in right here. It's kind of a backpack slash back cannon. Look, and there you go. That looks actually pretty good. I think it looks better with that. So if I was going to pose into this mode, which I probably never would, that's how I would do it. Again, you've got one click too many outwards on these legs. So it ends up just being awkward to pose and awkward to position. You can rotate the head and go down to there, up to there. The jaw opens up all the way, or you can have it closed. He does have these translucent orange eyes, which matches the cockpit. That's actually really nice. I think that looks good. And that's really all the movement on the head. The arms articulate here, double jointed. You get the full bend there. The claw itself bends up and down, and then it's another bend here. So tons of articulation, and then another bend up here. There's really a lot on that tiny little arm. Impressive amount of articulation. And I'm definitely having a problem with my foot here. Continuing down, you have a rotation here. It does end up sometimes rotating the actual black piece, which is supposed to stay kind of right there, but sometimes it moves. And you have this outward motion on the leg. The leg can bend at the knee, basically 90 degrees, and this kind of stops it. You kind of need that so it doesn't fall over. The foot can rotate and angle upwards, not much downwards, and then the toe can angle downwards. Like I mentioned earlier, though, it's really sitting on this, and this is just kind of a rest. Not really using that for balance. So final thoughts on KFC Kingzilla. Let's start with the negatives. So it has the traditional KFC hands, which I've never really liked. These ones are okay because they're much larger, so they tend to stay together better. But overall, I just don't really love those hands. They do have the issue with the A stance. I did forget to mention this. This hip skirt does actually rotate, so you get a little bit more movement out of it. But these hip joints, because of the amount of play in there, you end up with the ratchet tooth has really far out. So you end up either in a very straight stance or a really wide A stance. So that's a typical problem that, you know, I wish they would just do away with in modern Masterpiece figures. Other than that, positives wise, it looks really nice in all three modes. As good as it's gonna look as far as a Masterpiece version of this character, Snapdragon, the dragon never looks good. So I don't really care about that mode. But the other two, the robot mode and the jet mode, both look really nice. My personal favorite is the jet mode. That's why I bought this. I think it looks really good in that mode. I do like the light up gimmick, but I have no plan to use it. So it's nice for those that want that. Overall, the Headmaster is pretty nice. He does look pretty clean, although there's a little bit of kibble on his backpack there. But generally speaking, for a triple changer, I think they've done a good job. I don't think anyone's going to attack this character anytime soon because there's so many other characters out there to make. So this is probably going to be our Masterpiece version of Snapdragon for a while. So that's really it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.